Good morning, everyone. How you doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. Hope everyone's doing well. Everyone's doing fine. Happy Saturday, everyone. Good to see you guys here. Guys, please, before I start, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and smash a like on the video. If you guys could do that for me, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, of course, on the Saturday. Guys, Champions League final day. Inter Milan against PSG later on. We'll get into that anyway. But let's talk about Manchester United and let's talk about Bruno. The situation about Bruno's getting hot. It's a lot going on at the moment. Decision could be imminent in regards to his leaving the football club. Ruben Amorim has openly stated that he wants to keep Bruno. What do I think of this? I think it's wrong. I respect the manager. I respect how he feels. I know he likes the player, but we need to move on. And with Bruno's money, we can rebuild this team. I think it's a little bit strange that Man United are so over-reliant on a single player. We can't be so over-reliant on one player. Man United need to try and build a team, a future, and if we can bring in players, I mean, the 100 million for Bruno could bring in the likes of Drew Kieris, it could bring in the likes of Mbeumo and players like that. So what Man United need to do, they need to think a little bit more strategically in regards to even what Ruben Amorim wants. If Ruben Amorim wants Bruno, we need to understand why he wants to keep Bruno. And is Bruno going to elevate us, better than what a proper rebuild would do with an extra 100 million in the bank? Now, in regards to Bruno, there is an ownership bombshell. Of course, Bruno has openly stated that he is not happy with the ownership of Manchester United. Of course, Bruno took one of the employees who was fired a few months ago out for lunch. Of course, which was, he probably learned a lot there about the situation with these people in regards to these people having mortgages and families and stuff and being sacked. Bruno took it upon himself to take some of these members of staff to lunch. He also paid for many of these staff to go to the Europa League final with a member of their family, two members of their family. So obviously, Bruno Fernandez is no stranger to what is going on at the football club. And he's openly stated that he's not happy with the ownership. And there you are. Added to the fact this post-season tour, I don't think this post-season tour was necessary, although they wanted to make money from it. I mean, Bruno knows more than anyone, having mingled with ex-employees, the situation that these ex-employees face. And I think it's very lacking of empathy in regards to people who just support Ineos for the sake of supporting Ineos. Oh, they must do this. They must do that. They have to do this. They have to do that. It's absolutely not. We don't support them. We don't. They facilitated the Glazers, and that's what it is. And Bruno has every right to call these owners out. He has every right to speak about these owners. Because at the end of the day, these owners, I read a tweet yesterday that, what is it? 70% of the problems is the fans. I don't think 70% of the problem is the fans. 70% of the problem is the Glazers. That is it. At the end of the day, what has given us problems for the last 20 years. And obviously, Bruno sees this. And obviously, he knows that these owners are not going to leave anytime soon. So he might as well just make money and go where the money is. No one can blame Bruno for that. We thank Bruno for his time at Man United. No one can blame him for wanting to leave the football club. Absolutely not. Of course not. He's done a lot for Man United in this last 13 years. And he probably feels like, you know what, it's now's the time to leave. This place is not getting any better, of course. Good morning, Tybo, the legend. What's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Good morning. Hope you're good. Sanjay, good morning. Hope you're doing good, Sanj. Hope you're good. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Pearl. New day, a new dawn, a new life. Absolutely. It's a Portuguese tax with Bruno. Yep. Good morning, Sal Amorim. We will regret not selling Bruno. Yep. And Nat, good morning, Natty. Bremer, I hope we sign him, bro. I hope so as well. If they do not invest, Amorim will fail. Look, at the end of the day, Amorim will live and die on his sword, right? He will live and die on his sword. If he doesn't want to sell Bruno, then he cannot complain about lack of funds. That's all I'm saying, right? Because we all know what Ineos are doing and we all know what Glazers are doing at the end of the day in regards to what they are, in regards to funds and stuff like that. The Glazers have said to Ineos that all the money from sales of players must go towards the squad rebuild. Now, people could say what they want about the Glazers, but, one thing you can put in their favor is that they always invested in the team. Whether they invested it right or they invested it wrong, they have always tried to invest in the team. Now, obviously, there's a thing there where Ineos, they probably think that Ineos are going to pocket the money with every single bit of sale, and I wouldn't be surprised. The sale of Bruno must be reinvested in the squad. You know, every single player that we sell must be reinvested in the squad. That's how it should be. You know, and with a player like Bruno potentially leaving, even if Ruben Amorim wants to keep Bruno, I think it will be help the Manchester United cause immensely, building for the future, of course, guys. Absolutely. Big up, Tyborg. I fully support Bruno for calling out the owners. They are the main reason for the downfall. The fans know it and the players know it as well. Absolutely. And I respect Bruno for calling it out. So what are those Ineos sympathizers going to do now? What are they going to say now? Bruno's openly called these people out for who they are. You know, there you go, for who they are. People are telling me, oh, Sal, you're misinformed. You shouldn't be saying things like that about You know, and this is what it is. That he's called them out. He knows. He knows. He's the one who's been trying to give money to keep these employees. Bruno's the one who's been standing up, trying to give money to these employees, trying to help keep these employees. You know, Bruno's the one who paid for the tickets for those employees to go to the Europa League final. You know, and this is exactly what it is. And Bruno's a great person. Of course he is. But at the end of the day, I don't blame him for leaving. And I think that, you know, I think Man United should move on. I do. I think get 100 million. He'll have a good life in Saudi Arabia. He'll earn 700 grand a week, which is great for him. And you know what? We move on from that. Absolutely. Natty, Ineos are egotistic ownership. They think they know what they are doing. They don't know what they're doing. It's like there was a psychiatrist in regards to Man United. And Man United used to have a psychiatrist who was earning 170 grand a year. And Jim Ratcliffe said, why is this employee earning 170 grand a year? And she's actually important, you know what I mean? And he goes, no, get rid of her, you know, and that's basically what it is. And it shows you that they have no clue about top level sport, about, you know, the psychological side of sport as well. They don't understand that. Jim Ratcliffe is not a sport. He's a cyclist guy at the end of the day. You know, he's a cyclist guy and that's about it. You know, it has nothing to do with football. Guys, absolutely. Good morning, Forza Inter. Hoping to win tonight. Hoping to win tonight as well, Lisa. I don't want PSG to win it, to be honest with you. I know, clutching at straws, to be honest with you. It's not at the end of the world, whoever wins, to be honest. Best of luck to the both. I hope the best team win. But I do hope that Inter Milan win this game. I do. I mean, I predict that they will win the game, guys. Absolutely. Now, in regards to a little bit of transfer news, Manchester United, you may have heard a few months ago in regards to this player, Jan Bisseck. Jan Bisseck, an Inter Milan centre-back, one cap for Germany, has been linked with Manchester United. Manchester United are looking for a defender, given the fact that Lindelof and Johnny Evans will be leaving the football club. Now, Inter Milan may be forced to sell. He hasn't really shone at Inter Milan as much as people thought he would. But Jan Bisseck is valued at 30 million euros, still a few years on his contract. His contract expires in 2029, guys. So he is a right-footed centre-back. He has also captured the interest of Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, and Tottenham. So there's no shortage of interest for Jan Bisseck. But as we said many months ago about Jan Bisseck, obviously he's happy at Inter. But he has, Inter Milan are deemed to want to sell the player. So Man United could bring him in for as little as 30 million euros, guys. So obviously, Jan Bisseck, he started at FC Cologne. He started at FC Cologne, obviously, and it went on to Holstein Kiel. Of course, Holstein Kiel, they did well in the cup run in Germany, and that's where he kind of started to make his name before he went to Roda JC in Holland, of course, and then obviously went on to Vitória Guimarães in Portugal, and our house in Germany, and the thing is, he's been around the block a little bit. He has travelled before he went to Inter Milan. He has travelled a little bit. He's been around the block. But he has made his name at Inter Milan and has got a German cap. Very good player. Interesting developments there in regards to Jan Bisseck. Man United are looking for that kind of centre-back. Of course, Man United do have good centre-backs coming through. Kalungi, of course, who's been playing in the friendlies. Obviously, Aiden Heaven, for me, is going to be a generational player going forward. I think he's going to be... There's two players in defence that I think are going to be generational, which is Aiden Heaven and Lenny Euro. Absolute brilliant players. Those two defenders there, for me, should be starting for Man United next season. And obviously, Licha Martinez coming in now. But depending on what happens with Licha Martinez in regards to his fitness. Tottenham are heavily interested with Jan Bisseck. So don't be surprised if there is a move for Jan Bisseck from Tottenham Hotspur, because they are looking for another defender, guys. Absolutely. Let's read some of your comments. Big up, Hadrian. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. If United keep Bruno, even with the bumper off of them, it's the end of Amram. Hadrian, as I've always said, you know what I would say about Amram, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you want to keep Bruno, we can't complain about we're not going to sign this player. We haven't got the funds, we haven't got the budget. We can't complain about that. At the end of the day, we have to go by what he wants. But he could be bluffing. He could be bluffing. He could be just telling the media, keeping it sweet and stuff between all parties. That is generally what managers do, isn't it? They don't go out and say, yeah, we're going to sell him. We don't need him. We need the money. He's not going to do that, is he? He's going to say, well, he's an important player for us. I want to keep him. But, things like that, that's what these managers do throughout history. Amram has no say about Bruno leaving stay. Bruno looks at him after himself and his family, Amram, in his football career, and can't tell an old professional. He hasn't done anything like that, mate. He hasn't done anything. I know you don't like Amram goals for George, but that's absolutely incorrect. It is every right for Amram to turn around to Bruno and persuade him to stay. If he wants to persuade Bruno to stay, that's up to Amram. He's not telling him to stay. It's not a dictatorship. It is a football manager telling a player, I would like to keep you. That is different from, oh, you have no say. Of course, he can persuade him if he wants to stay. If he wants to persuade him to stay, he can stay. But he's going to sacrifice the transfers. That's what's going to happen at the end of the day. But I don't think you quite understand about the birds and the bees in regards to football goals for George, because you're very one way. What I would say is that maybe he's bluffing. Maybe he's just saying that in front of the media, because that's what happens as well. You don't go in the media and start saying, oh, we want him gone. We need the money. Yeah, no, come on, man. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. He's going to start being nice. He's going to say, yeah, he's an important player for us. We'll have to see what happens. Things like that. That's what happens in football. Absolutely. You really tell people who don't understand football. Ratanapon, big up, Leroux. What's going on? Good to see you, Bisseck Inter. Big up, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Prefer to have Ignacio Demande instead of Bisseck. A lot more money, isn't it, Lisa? I think Ignacio will cost a little bit of money. Diamande will cost a little bit of money. The thing with Jan Bisseck, he's an international for Germany, young player as well, of course, Jan Bisseck. He is an international for Germany. Quite good player, young player, 24 years old. At that relative age that Man United need, in my opinion, at that relative age, they need players at that age, of course, as well. Mid-20s, like getting there. We can't keep, my preference is Ignacio, of course, but we got Aiden Heaven there. And I don't want to hamper the development of Aiden Heaven. I think Aiden Heaven is going to be a bloody world-class defender. I really do think that. Natty, Sal, at least we won the cup. I did not sleep to celebrate. Big up, Natty. The sarcasm is coming through now. The sarcasm is coming through. Big up. You every time Inter? Yeah, I think most people are supporting Inter today. What a chance for we had for a full buyout, where we would be now definitely on a better path. Absolutely, Miles. United forever. Love your channel, brother. Peace. Big love to you too, Miles. And I absolutely agree with you, mate. We would be in a much better position. And anyone who says that we won't be in a better position just plainly has different bitter, sinister agendas at the end of the day. Man United would be in a very good position if the Glazers sold up to Qatar. Man United will be probably in a lot more better spirits right now. You know what I mean? Looking forward to the new season. New stadium is already being built as we speak. Blah blah blah. It's just some people sacrificed the best for Man United for their bitter, sinister agendas that they have been taught from a very young age, unfortunately, and that is just the way I believe it is with the fan base. I mean, I'm from England, I'm from Britain, I know how it works. I was raised in Britain, you know what I mean? So I know how it works, I know how they are, I'm not surprised, especially in these villages around the country, of course. Big Larouk, style of play, Rudiger, Bisseck. Yeah, big up, my friend. Con, what's that, Hadrian? What's the con? What's going on? The Glazers' main problem always was that they are Americans and just don't understand the game. Absolutely. Also, they had the wrong people around them. Very naive, if you ask me. I agree, Tyborg. But they thought that the thing with Americans, Tyborg, and look, my grandma's American, okay? Before anyone comes at me. right? Look, the thing with Americans, right, in general, and basically is that they're very ignorant when it comes to football. Like, they call it soccer, don't they? I mean, ridiculous. Only Australia kiss their butts and they call it soccer as well. But the thing is that, they're very ignorant to the culture of football. They don't understand it. They don't understand the grassroots level of football. They don't understand the European football horoscope, but basically like a culture of football. It runs from generations and centuries, passed down from generations and centuries, and they don't understand that why football is such a massive sport, a huge sport. And they think they know, but they don't know, because their sports are all about advertisements and commercial. I mean, their biggest sport, the highlight of their biggest sport is the halftime entertainment. That is what it is at the end of the day, and they don't really quite grasp how football could be so huge. And they think that they have an idea of what it is, but they don't, unfortunately. They don't. This is why they wanted the Super League, which is so out of touch with what we are, because the great thing about football, it's not like American football where nobody gets relegated. It is like you get drafts. That's about it. In England, you can get relegated, someone can get promoted, you could be the underdog, and you can move all the way from the National League all the way up. Just like Ryan Reynolds has done with Wrexham, from the National League all the way up to the Championship. And there you go, and that's the beautiful thing about football. They don't quite grasp what that is at the end of the day, Absolutely. Big up, Tybog. There are reports that Kobe is also sale regardless if Bruno leaves, only if a good offer comes in. Is it true? Look, one thing I would say, Hadrian, and we have ignored this point. This was said a few months ago. If we don't get in the Champions League, no one is exempt from being sold. So basically, no one is invincible in regards to being sold. Nobody, right? And in my opinion, nobody should be invincible in regards to sales. Of course, you've got the likes of Ahmad and Yoro and, Gardner and Aiden Heaven. And, they got these, like, the young players. That's different. But the likes of Mainu, Garnacho, players like even Ahmad, I would say Ahmad as well. Hoyland, Mainu. Yeah, I think that, none of them are untouchable in this team now. None of them, And if we got a £70 million offer for Mainu, I think, as I said a few months ago, they would entertain the prospect of that. They would entertain it. They would take the money. I really think they would. But we cannot sell Bruno and then sell Mainu as well, and sell Garnacho and sell Rashford and sell Anthony, because then we're going to have to be like, well, these players have to be replaced, don't they? Are we going to move quick enough to get these players replaced quickly? I wouldn't sell Mainu myself. I'll keep Mainu. I'll give Mainu one more season, see how he does. Garnacho's a different story, obviously, because there's a lot of problems that have been happening with Garnacho this last year. Maybe cashing in is the right thing to do. I don't think it is, but for Glazers, they probably think cashing in is the right thing to do. And there you go. Big up, Tyborg. So how much do you want for Bruno Bernat? 100. I think we should fight for 120. I think we should. At the end of the day, these guys have got more money than sense. I would say that just sell Bruno for 120 million, and that's it. And then we go from there, and spend that money, reinvest that money on the squad. I mean, with 120 million, we can invest in Mbeumo, we can invest in, Gutierrez or whoever we want to get, Cherky. We can invest Edison. Edison obviously is captured the interest of Liverpool now. You snooze, you lose. Edison is wanted by Liverpool. Liverpool want to get Florian Wirtz. They've got Frimpong, and then they want to get Edison as well. They're building an absolute machine there. And what we doing, twiddling our thumbs, well, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing, worrying about FFP and PSR and things like that. It's ridiculous. At the end of the day. Speaking of Mbeumo has said that not having Champions League is not necessarily the be-all and end-all of him signing for a football club. He has said that signing for a club like Manchester United with a project that they can put forward could attract him to go to Man United. Now, this is actually not for Mbeumo. This is from his entourage, his people, that he's not necessarily interested in Newcastle or any other team because of Champions League. He might go to Man United because he might like the project. So that is a boost in regards to Man United's quest to get Mbeumo. Of course, Man United need to get a striker first, and then we have to see where we are in regards to Mbeumo. I would love to have Gutierrez and Mbeumo and Cunha next season. That would be absolutely incredible, wouldn't it? We'll be ecstatic with that, wouldn't we? Lots of goals in that. Lots of goals. I mean, If we don't score goals with that front three, then we are going to have to look at a divine inspiration, because at the end of the day, what is going on here? Do you know what I mean, guys? And that's what I would say about that. But Mbeumo has not ruled out a move to Manchester United, despite Man United not having Champions League football. Now, it does beg the question, if Man United did get Champions League football, how easier would it have been? But we didn't, did we? I mean, it's all hearsay now, isn't it? But if we did, how much better would it have been? We were saying this before the Europa League final against Spurs, how much better it would have been, you know, if we just got Champions League football. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, of course. Morning, Shah. How you doing, my friend? I'd tell Bruno 100%, but the problem is, will the owners reinvest that wisely into the team, or to use it to pay the debt interest? This is the problem, Shah, and this is the overriding question that we're bringing to the table. The Glazers, can you believe it, have told Jim Ratcliffe that any money from football sales must be reinvested in the team. So hopefully we go by that. Hopefully we abide by that. And it happens, of course, at the end of the day. Guys, absolutely hope so. Natty, Shea Lacey is a good player. We have to give him a chance in cup games. We do, Natty. Look, I'm not going to take too much into the Hong Kong game. I'm not going to go over the top in regards to beating Hong Kong. But one thing's for certain, a couple of those players right there, I would say Shea Lacey, Chida Obi Martin, Kone, Camerson, these players look pretty good to me. Freights look pretty good to me. They look good. But obviously, some of these players need to go on loan. I don't think a lot of them are ready for Premier League football. It's going to be difficult. Kukunki played 2 games. He's an absolute unit. Maybe his positioning needs to improve a little bit. We got caught out a little bit with Kukunki, maybe the pace. But I think he looks a good player as well. And we've obviously got Aiden Heaven. So not everything is all doom and gloom in regards to that. We do have young players coming through, which is great, you know, and we have to remember that. We have to remember our heritage, which is bringing young players through, of course. Revert 7, good morning. Americans are still relatively new to football. They make me cringe. Mate, they're entertainers. Americans are the best entertainers in the world. They're about entertainment. That's what they are. WWE, NFL, basketball. It's all about entertaining, like basically not in a sporting sense, but more like a commercial sense. That is what they do. This is what they're good at. And they don't quite understand football, which is why I don't understand the fact that we're taking the World Cup again for the second time in 30 years to America. You know, at the end of the day, I don't understand why we're doing that, you know, and I think that's out of order. I think it should stick in Europe or South America, you know, or Africa or Asia, somewhere different, because America, they don't really have the feel for football. And I remember the 1994 World Cup, and I remember just thinking, yeah, you know, you had Diana Ross, you know, and all that business at the opening ceremony. It just didn't feel like a football tournament, you know, felt like a friendly tournament, in my opinion. Big up. Good morning, Revert 7. Good morning. Absolutely. Good morning. Goals for George. No player is safe. Yep. Club as fans are restless and they don't only loyalty to any player. That's what I've been saying for a long time. I have no loyalty to any player. I only have loyalty to Manchester United, of course. Shea Lacey needs to stay fit. The last 2 years, he's been missed a huge chunk of season. Yeah, he's been injured. He has injury problems. This is the problem with Man United at the moment. How many of our players have been getting injured? You know, just even our young players are getting injured. They're following. That's the culture of the football club. Man United's culture is getting injured. You know, now it's your turn to get injured. It's your turn to step off the line, step off the conveyor belt. Now it's your turn to have 6 weeks off. You know what I mean? Shaw leads the way. We should go for Richard Rios if Bruno goes. Richard Rios, of course, I haven't heard that name for a very long time. The problem with Richard Rios, the Colombian player, I think he's Colombian, isn't he? The Colombian player is that is 90 million. They put a 90 million price tag on him, didn't they, Leeson, in the summer? They put a 90 million price tag on him. And obviously, we're not going to be paying that sort of money for a player like that. You know, he's not been playing in Europe. He's a good player, but I haven't heard much about him since last summer. And obviously, why? Because obviously, the price tag was a little bit steep, if you know what I mean. Shah. So Jim Ratcliffe loves Chelsea style of relation. Look, guys, you know, we need to wake up and smell the coffee. Jim Ratcliffe is not a Man United fan. It's pretty obvious he's a Chelsea fan. He tried to buy Chelsea before. He didn't succeed. So, you know what? This is why he's so obsessed with Chelsea. Obsessed with Chelsea. Talking about the Chelsea model, doing things the Chelsea way. Now, what is the Chelsea way? Chelsea way is spending $1 billion, coming fourth in the league and just winning the Conference League. I don't think Chelsea are the right team for us to be replicating right now. I really don't. I think there's many other teams who are better at replicating than Chelsea. I mean, we shouldn't be looking at Liverpool, but look at Liverpool. You know what I mean? Look at them. They don't spend much. They keep in there in the FFP and PSR. But they do, when they do sign players, it's a good one. You know, and they always stay up there in the Champions League or challenging for the league. They're always there or thereabouts, you know. Look at the likes of Man City, the way they do things, you know. That's who we should be looking at, not Chelsea. You know, there's nothing about Chelsea. Chelsea's like, throw it against the wall and whatever sticks goes. That is basically what Chelsea are. You know, so I don't know what this obsession with Chelsea is. I don't know what Jim Ratcliffe's obsession with Chelsea is. It's pathetic, isn't it? He's exciting, though. He's dribbling and eye goes top-notch already. Big up. Which player are you talking about, Goals for George? 120, 130 million for Bruno. I agree, Kenny. We should. Why are we just taking what they give us? 80 million is an absolute robbery. No. 120 million, you want him? He's yours. 120. That's it. 120, 130 million. Go for it. Yours. There you go. Signed, sealed, delivered. Stevie Wonder. That's what it is at the end of the day. That's what I would say. American football, tons of hot dogs, 1 million tiers of Coke, Lady Gaga, European football, 4.5 litre beers, pyros, tifos, and banter chants. Absolutely typo. Look, you know, back in 2000 and when was it? 9? Was it 2010? 2010, I went to Houston, Texas. And I went to a baseball game in Houston, Texas. I was filming a music video over there. And I went to a baseball game. And I couldn't believe that I can talk like this and you can hear me. It was like, I can talk like normally and you can hear me. You know, that is what it was. And I was like, bloody, so quiet. And they needed this big screen, right, with a graphic, with a clapping thing. So to tell you when to clap. And I was like, what is this? Is this one of the biggest sports in America? I was like, come on, man. Come on. Pathetic. Pathetic at the end of the day. Revet7, who would you first replace Bruno Sal? For me, I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm going to say it right now. I think I'll replace him with Mbeumo, getting Mbeumo through the door. Think he'd be good. Start building the team around him. And Mbeumo and Gutierrez, you know, 2 players. But no, actually, let me tell you, I will get Gutierrez with that money. Revet7. But the problem is, the longer we leave it, right, the more these teams are going to know that we got 100 million. They're going to know how much money we got from Bruno. So we're going to try and sign Mbeumo. Instead of 50 million, they're going to say 70 million. And we're going to try and sign Gutierrez. Instead of 60 million, they're going to say 80 million. It's going to be like that. You know, this is the problem with it. So what we should have done things a little bit more quiet. We're going to sell him, let him go quickly, and don't make too much fuss about it. We advertise it to the whole world. You know, we advertise it. It's like a PR campaign. You know what I mean? Natty, why are we obsessed with Chelsea? We have to learn from Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool, for example, right? Liverpool would never move away from Anfield. They look after Anfield. Anfield has been looked after. They will never move away from their spiritual home that has been their home for over 100 years. Man United should have been the same. Man United shouldn't be overly giddy and enthusiastic about moving away from Old Trafford. It should have been absolutely scandalous moving away from Old Trafford, our home, our heritage, our history. You know, we shouldn't have let that happen. And we're just open to it. Like, oh, but Jim Ratcliffe, look at this. Oh, this bloody AI-generated image that all it needs to do is send out an AI-generated image and then everyone is jumping on the bloody bandwagon and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. Let that guy do something first. And then we have to say, because at the end of the day, he had a decent transfer window last summer. But since then, it's all the way gone down, hasn't it? It's been all bad news, non-stop, hasn't it? Kenny, 3-4 players will replace Bruno's attributes, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, 100 million, we can get 2 great players in Mbeumo and Gutierrez, you know, at the end of the day. You know, if we can get it for that price. You know, 110, 120 million, we can get Mbeumo and Gutierrez. And what would that do to our team? Added to the fact we got Cunha as well. What would that do to our team? I think that'd be a very fearsome, scary front line. I don't think Bruno's scary. I think he's a stat padder. I think he's a good player, a very good player. But I think that, you know, it doesn't help in regards to this system. It doesn't help in regards to Man United going further forward. Man United, Bruno's a player, right? Bruno's a player that needs to be in the team that is already a good team. He needs to be in that team like that. Man United don't have a good team. So Man United need to build a team before they can think about the luxury items like Bruno, because Bruno's a luxury item. Do you know what I mean? There's no point having a £10,000 vase on your fireplace if your house is derelict. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's what I would say about How many players realistically United can sign in this window if after Bruno sells? I think they can use that money to buy 2-3 more players. Apart from Cunha, they can use that money to buy 2-3 more players. Let's not forget about Rashford leaving, Anthony leaving. Ericsson, Lindelof, and Evans already off the wage bill. Of course, Malacia leaving as well. Of course, maybe Onana might leave as well, and might make a profit for Onana. You never know, and we might actually, get a good summer window. We might actually get 5-6 players in, and then you can say, right now, this is when we judge Ruben Amorim. This is when we start looking at Ruben Amorim. But my biggest concern about Ruben Amorim, and I'm right. We're right to have concerns about. If he wants to keep Bruno, at the end of the day, why does he want to keep Bruno? I have my theories, but why does he want to keep Bruno? When we got a chance to build a team, I know Bruno's his pal, I know he's his mate, but obviously, if he wants to, I just don't see sense in it, to be honest. But I think Man United need to cut off the luxuries and basically, sacrifice a player like a sacrificial lamb. And try and build a team rather than relying on individuals, because that's what we're doing at the moment. We're relying on Bruno Magic. When he can turn it on. Because relatively, he rarely does. The last few games he's been relatively poor, right? Victor Osimhen or Gyökeres. For me, Gyökeres. Close though. Close mark. Hidden element. Hopefully Bruno doesn't go, in my opinion. Then what do you want to do? Do you want to just not build a team and just come 15th again? We need to build a team, mate. Bruno's a luxury item in Man United's team right now. A luxuries we can't afford to have hidden element. We can't afford to have any more luxuries. We're not going to elevate ourselves with just Bruno. We might elevate ourselves with Mbeumo, Gyökeres, and Cunha. We might do, which is far more effective than just Bruno. It's sad that we have to go this way, but unfortunately, Man United are not in a position right now, thanks to Ineos and the Glazers, Man United are not in a position right now to be keeping, gold when we can't afford to keep ourselves warm. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Thing is, if Bruno goes, we lose a leader. Do you really think he's a leader? We've had 7 throwing his arms around, blaming people and stuff. Not for me. I think we got De Ligt, who's a leader. De Ligt was captain of Ajax at the age of 19. Captain of the Ajax team that played in the Europa League final against Man United in 2017. He's got the experience. If we had to bring in a defender from Germany, I would go back to Robin Koch, Germany, into 28 years of experience, and he wouldn't cost much. Isn't that the one who plays for Cologne, Tybog? Which one is Robin Koch? I spoke about him on the show before. Big up, Tybog. Cherky, Edison, Ignacio. There we go. Please, Højlund is a not United kind of player. He's not a bad player, but not just the standards in place. I agree, Uchichi. We need to sell Rasmus Højlund this summer. I agree. I'm totally up for that. Who will buy him, though, is the thing, Uchichi. Who's going to buy him, of course? Maguire's a leader. Yeah, but we moved away from Maguire. He's not a good player, though. It's a problem. He's not going to elevate us. If we sell Bruno, then we need 3 or 4 experienced players to replace Bruno because the needers. And I would even say 2-3. 2 players, Mbeumo and Gyökeres, will absolutely revitalize Man United, completely change Man United. That dangerous front 3, Cunha, Mbeumo, and Gyökeres, or Cunha, Mbeumo, and Osimhen. You would look at that front 3 and you think that is scary. You know what I mean? That's what you're doing. And then you can bring in an Edison with the money from Rashford. And you could bring in a Vanderson with the money from Anderson, for the money from Anthony. You could bring in a Vanderson. And then suddenly you're looking at Man United's team and think, it's not too bad, this. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. Revert 7. I saw Camerson live at the Emirates in February FA Youth Cup. He's a good player. Is he ready yet? If Bruno leaves, De Ligt, Maguire, and Casemiro will be the only leaders left. Yeah, well, you need 11 leaders in football. That's what I've always believed. 11 leaders in football. That's what you need. Man United used to have 11 leaders. Molisa, how you doing? Big up, Donovan. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Man United shouldn't drag any deal with those Champion League teams. United can't get their players. They should go to South American players that are there. Makoyamiko, Jane, don't forget Martinez. This guy is a leadership. Yeah. Only problem with him, Jane, is can he keep himself injury free? Can he keep himself fit? That's the only thing I would say in regards to that, my friend. I would say we need players who are fit. Leaders need to be fit, and hopefully he can keep himself fit. He's the best leader in our squad. Absolutely, he's a different animal, and we need players like that. We've missed Licha this season. We wouldn't have lost the Europa League final if we had Licha in that team. Absolutely not. And this shows how important. People forget that we missed him all season. Lacey has looked class, though he needs to stay in the under-20s next season. In my opinion, I would give him. I put him on the bench. I would. But the problem with Shea Lacey's injury record is his injury record, at the end of the day. Richard Rios, a price that's been slashed 20 million, and maybe we take a punt as he's technically very south. We can't take punts at the moment, goes for George. There's a big difference between playing in South America and coming to England, big difference. 20, 30 million, that could go towards Gutierrez or Mbeumo, who are Premier League proven, and Gutierrez is an absolute superstar. We can't just take punts, unfortunately, mate. Even though Richard Rios is on Man United's radar, and it has been since January, since August, which I reported on this channel first. I would say that, I don't think Man United are in a position to take punts when we're struggling to make money at the moment. That's my opinion. They need to be ready. We need proper right wing back who knows how to defend. I've seen clips of Ahmad letting players run. He's not a right wing back though, is he? Ahmad, is he? And scored while stopping running. I think Van Dersen's the guy. Van Dersen's the guy that I'm looking at right now. He's the one that I'm excited about. Bruno Sal could be our Coutinho moment. Absolutely. I think we need to do that. Absolutely. The only thing I look forward to is the NFL, is the Super Bowl. I don't even look forward to that, mate. It's boring. It's boring. Crap sport, man. This Bruno thing is taking, and a lot of, I know a lot of fan channels do the watch-alongs for American football. They don't like American football. Let me tell you, they love the people, the numbers. They want the audience. That's what they want. Never thought I'd say the day that Man United said in their best player, fuck's sake, this is a new low, especially when we are virtually carried the team all season, eh? Well, Darren, what I would say is that under Alex Ferguson, Man United generally didn't keep 30, 31-year-olds. They didn't, apart from a couple, Ryan Giggs, for example. Bruno Fernandez, we've let the likes of Jaap Stam, David Beckham, Steve Bruce leave this football club. So those for me are much more bigger legends than Bruno, so those things have happened in the past. Of course they have. Unfortunately, well, it is, maybe we didn't want to let Bruno go, but unfortunately we're in a position where we can't have luxuries. We can't have, as I said earlier, we can't have a £10,000 vase on top of a fireplace in a derelict building. Unfortunately, we can't do that. We need to think about the roof over our heads rather than the luxuries. So what Man United need to do is Man United need to build a team, and then we can start thinking about, the icing on the cake, the cherry on the cake and all that sweet stuff. That's what we need to think about, the team first, and building a team, because at the moment we don't have a team. It's pretty evident. We don't have a team. It's not about tactics. It's not about formations. It's about the team. And I think that using Bruno as a sacrificial lamb, unfortunately, might be the way to go, because we're not going to get any more money from anyone else. We don't have the assets to get money from anywhere else. Of course, we want to sell Shaw, we want to sell Malacia, and we want to sell these type of players. Of course, we're going to sell this, but they're not nowhere near the assets that what Bruno is. It's unfortunate, but we got Ineos, and this is exactly what Ineos are, and we knew it before they took charge of the football club, unfortunately, guys. Big up, Darren. Big up, Darren. Hope you're well. Revat 7. Rashford, Sancho, Anthony needs to go first, dragging on and on. Yeah, I think that's going to go on all summer, Revat 7. I really do think that's going to go on all summer. If Bruno goes, who would be your club captain, Sal? De Ligt or Licha or Ugarte, mate? If Ugarte stays. Ineos and the Glazers are completely responsible for the shit show that has been. Absolutely, Darren. Darren, exactly what I said, Darren. Absolutely. Spot on, mate. I agree. And I can't see or even fathom how anyone could not doubt Ineos and continue blindly supporting Ineos. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Any news regarding Garnacho to Napoli, to Leverkusen? Or nothing at the moment, Kenny. Nothing at the moment. Napoli are interested in Garnacho. I am going to Italy, Naples exactly, Kenny. I'm going to Napoli in July. So if that deal is not done by July, I'm gonna have a word. I'm gonna see who I can get on the show, and we can ask a few people over there to see what's going on with Garnacho. I think that's another one that's going to drag on. I really do think that's another one that's going to drag on all summer. I think so. I really do. Heaven looks a bargain. I give him credit over Wilcox for that. Amram needs to look. At the end of the day, we've at 7. I know there's a lot made about obviously Delap missing out on Delap, but at the end of the day, look, what can Wilcox do? Wilcox, at the end of the day, he can't make Man United a Champions League team, and that's what it is. He's gone for the Champions League, and apparently, rumored, Chelsea are paying Delap 200 grand a week. 200 grand a week, ridiculous, In regards to the Zoom call with Bruno has been on a Zoom call with Al Hilal, and it apparently went very well. And talks will continue this week in regards to moving to Al Hilal. So obviously, we're going to have to play that by ear and see what happens, guys. I know there's a lot of Bruno FC. Look, I'm nothing FC. I'm Man United FC. I like Bruno, but I want what's best for Manchester United, and I want to build a good team because that's what we always had. Let's be real, guys. Over the 90s, we never necessarily had the best players, guys. We didn't. We had a team. We had the best team, but fit the team. That's what it is at the end of the day. That's why a lot of those players left and didn't really do much. You know what I mean? Apart from Ronaldo. So we need to have the best team, and hopefully we build that. United should go for Osman. Gyökeres might not come to United. Let's wait and see. There's less chance getting Osman than Gyökeres, Uchichi. Let me just tell you that right now. If Amarim keeps Bruno will get him sacked. Remember that West Ham penalty? Yep. Bruno skied it. Not sure who the coach was, but fired a lot. Do you remember when Diego Dalot Donovan missed that chance against West Ham? Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, at the moment in time, at the end of the day, look, none of these players have a leg to stand on, and they shouldn't have a leg to stand on. None of these players should have a leg to stand on because these players contributed to the worst season that Man United have ever had since 1974. And I even think the 1974 team were better. So these players do not have a leg to stand on. They do, so at the end of the day, they should not be outraged that they're transfer listed. It's just life, isn't it? And that's life. You underperformed, you get banged. That's it at the end of the day, pick up. Natty, we are 2 centre-mid players. We have to let players and invest in the team. Absolutely. And look, Bruno's not 21 years old. Bruno's not 22 years old. Bruno's going on 31, guys. You know what I mean? He's going on 31 years old. We can't be, missing out on opportunity. Let's say next season starts, guys, right? Let's say next season starts and Bruno breaks his leg. Touch wood, he doesn't. But let's say he stays at Man United and he breaks his leg. What are we going to do then? We ain't got a team, have we? We ain't got a team, have we? We ain't got a team, have we? We ain't got a team. We just missed out on 100 million, 100 bags. Not 100 bags, but a million. You know what I mean? So, my goodness me. He gets injured first game of the season. Then we're like, oh, we should have took the money. We can't risk it with Bruno. He's 30, 31. Move on. Good memories, bad memories. Move on to a new era at Man United. And that's what I think we need to do, in my humblest of opinions. Bruno, neither a captain or a leader. He's a good player, but lacks mentality. I agree with that, Lisa. And sometimes he does. When is Mateus Cunha? July. Kevin, July. Maybe July the 1st. There will be more news about him. Kenny's confirmed. Big up, Ken. I remember the 94 team we had full of captains. Now we have a squad of better boys. Yeah, absolutely. Look at the team from 98, 99, right? Irwin could be captain. Stam could be captain. Johnson could be captain. Gary Neville could be captain. Schmeichel could be captain. Beckham was captain and could be captain. Nicky Butt could be captain. Roy Keane could be captain. Ryan Giggs was captain, could be captain. Andy Cole could be captain. The only 2 players I would have fed maybe not captains was Paul Scholes and Dwight York in that team. But then you look at the bench and you can say David May could be captain. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could be captain. Teddy Sheringham was a captain, could be captain. And that's what I'm talking about. Nowadays, you're like, Man United, who's captain? Who's got it? Who's got it? De Ligt, Licha, maybe Ugarte, maybe, I don't know. You know, at the end of the day, you look at that and you think, yeah, nothing there, nothing. This lacks. And so that's why we need to build a team. We need to build a new team full of captains. That's what Man United do, in my opinion. Morning, Cindy. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Big up, Kenny. Better boys, yeah. Brother, Hadrian, I saw your post on X, leaked footage of Jim Ratcliffe and had a nice laugh. Which movie is it? That's called, that is Steve Coogan, Aha. That is a series that used to come on England. Guys, Steve Coogan, you'll see it on there. Write down Steve Coogan, Coogan. It was from a Steve Coogan sitcom. Like, basically, it was a sitcom. Yeah, Steve Coogan. You may have seen Steve Coogan on other series and stuff like that. He's a very funny guy. Mark Goldbridge loves him. Mark Goldbridge loves him. He does imitate him quite a lot. You know, so yeah, he's funny, very funny. Knowing me, knowing you. Aha. Yeah, absolutely. If we sell Bruno, we must get Cherky. Yeah, Victor, big up Cherky. Big fan of Cherky, of course. Not beef Cherky, Cherky the footballer. Do you remember fans wanted Pogba to be captain? Oh, my goodness me. Captain of what? Dancing? I love Bruno, but if it means we can get 2-3 players cash in, I agree, Cindy. We've got to move on. It's sad. It's sad as it is. The situation that we're in at the moment, it is sad, but we have to move on. It's sadly, that is just life, isn't it, guys? Absolutely. Natty, Sal, the problem is I do not trust them to reinvest in about this is what it is, Natty. One thing the Man United fan base is stupid. We will know if they're going to reinvest that money, won't we? You know, Ineos know the toxicity that's going on at Man United right now. They know that Man United are in a lot of toxicity. There's a lot of toxicity with the fans. It's probably one of the worst it's ever been. You know, Man United and Ineos know what's going on in regards to that. They know that this toxicity, you know, has you know, basically become very strong, and it's going to get worse. If they don't reinvest in this team, and if we go in next season with just Cherky, with just Cunha, then everyone's going to be, you know, pissed off. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, this is what it's going to be. And sadly, Amram will get the blame as well. And even if they didn't bring in any of these players, this is why it's so imperative that Man United sell Bruno. So I want to go into next season. I don't want to be using the excuse when he hasn't got his players. I want to be like, well, we got 6-7 players now. Man United, not necessarily challenged for the league. I know that's a little bit over the top, right? But the year after we should be. If we get 6-7 players this summer, the year after Man United should be looking at challenge for the league with a further 6 players or 4 or 5 players. You know, so next season, this summer, if Man United gets 6-7 players, Man United should be challenging for the top 4. I'm not lowering my expectation. If we get 6 or 7 players through the door, which is a big ask, by the way, 6 or 7 of Ruben Amram's players, including Cunha. Imagine we get Cunha, Gutierrez, Mbeumo, Vanderson, Edison. You know, we get another defender in there, you know, as well, and a goalkeeper. You know, then there you are. Of course, there we are. You know, and then I will be expecting big things from Man United. You know, I'll be expecting, you know, big things. Now, a little bit of news coming out of Man United. More transfer news is Pervis Estupiñán. Pervis Estupiñán is a Brighton player, of course, who can play as a left back. He can also play as a right back as well. Mainly used as a left wing back, guys. He's mainly used as a left wing back. Man United have been interested in him. He is a left footer, naturally. My main concern with this is that Man United with Estupiñán, we have Diego Leon. Maybe we should trust Diego Leon a little bit. We've also got Dorgu. We still got Luke Shaw. We still got Tyra Malacia. We still got Amas. So maybe Man United need to look at the right back position, because for me, Dalot is not the guy. So maybe Man United need to look at the right wing back position before anything else, before going for another left back. I think we're heavily stacked with left backs. I think Man United need a right wing back because it's always to the left, to the left, Beyonce settings. You know what I mean? So what we need is a right wing back. So Estupiñán, news, you know, coming from Ben Jacobs, of course, a friend of the show, been on here a couple of times, is news, but I think Man United need a right wing back at the end of the day, in my opinion. Guys, Lacey needs to concentrate on staying fit. Yes, Revert saying he's had a bad injury record, hasn't he? In central defence, I think we'll be okay with Leach, Delict, Maguire, Yoro, and Heaven. I think Kolungi looks good as well, Donovan. I don't think defence is the biggest problem at Man United. I think right wing back, striker, midfield. I think that's what Man United need. And a goalkeeper. Yeah. That's what Man United need. So if we sign a goalkeeper, right wing back, midfielder, and a couple of attackers and a striker, that's 6 players right there. That's enough for me. That's it. So Cunha, Mbeumo, Dukieres or Osimhen, like a right wing back, Vanderson or Roger Fernandez or someone like that. You know, a goalkeeper, you know, the Espanyol goalkeeper. Apparently the Espanyol goalkeeper wants first team football and no one can offer him at the moment. I think we can. I think he's better. I think we should offer him first team football, in my opinion, you know. Good goalkeeper. Single-handedly saved Espanyol. When I was a kid, I just moved the NFL gear, LA Raiders. Yeah, I like, Revert 7. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about. You know, with NFL, basketball, and baseball caps, you know, new era baseball caps, LA Raiders baseball caps, New York Yankees baseball caps. That is what it is. It's a commercial sport. It's commercially a viable sport. That's what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about fashion, entertainment. You know, that is what it's all about. It's not necessarily about how good the sport is, because the sports are pretty boring. You know, look at, for example, the New York Yankees cap. It comes from basketball. It comes from baseball. Baseball is the New York Yankees cap, right? So there you go. Who watches baseball? You know what I mean? But the caps are the best caps in the world. Yeah, that's what they're good at. Football is everything. It is absolutely everything. Did it for captain, says Kenny. Big up, Kenny. Morning, everyone. Sending Bruno is our way to save United. Fuck the Glazers. Big up, Mark. Good to see you, mate. I agree. Bruno has to go. Show United. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining the show. I agree. What's the future of Garnacho, Mainu, and Højlund? At the moment, Garnacho is up in the air. This could drag on all summer. It does look likely that Garnacho will leave the football club after this disastrous season in regards to off-the-field antics. Of course, even going back all the way to Christmas, where his form dipped because of some certain clown content creator outside Old Trafford. Now, obviously, there is a lot of problems with Garnacho. So Man United will be looking to move Garnacho on. In regards to Mainu, unless there's an offer around 70 million, Man United are not going to sell Mainu. Kobbie Mainoo, obviously, is in discussions with a new contract at Man United. Although he has rejected the contract offer for Man United, Kobbie Mainoo will be offered a updated version of a contract, and hopefully he accepts the contract. If Kobbie Mainoo does not accept the contract, Kobbie Mainoo will be also one of them at the door. In regards to Rasmus Højlund, there is a lot of interest in regards to Italy. Juventus, Inter Milan, and Napoli. Now, Man United feel they can do a deal with Napoli. I mean, obviously, there was rumours about Man United doing a deal with Højlund in exchange for Osimhen, plus £33 million. So, how likely is that to happen? I don't think it's very likely. I think that notoriously swap deals are difficult to do, but I do think it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. If Man United manage to get Osimhen in and get rid of Rasmus Højlund, that's great. Plus paying 33 million. It's steep, but, you know, that's great. But what would I add to that? You know, what would I add to that? If Osimhen gets injured, who we got? You know, we're going to have to heavily rely on the likes of Chido Obi Martin or Musa or playing Xerxes up front or Cunha or something and playing players out of position. Man United need 2 strikers. You know, I don't think Rasmus is good enough for Man United. I'm being honest. I've given him everything in regards to my support. I feel sorry for him. I do. But as you saw yesterday in the game against Hong Kong, as soon as Chido came on, Chido looked more dangerous. You know, got himself in the right positions to score goals. You know, so everything is up in the air. But as I bring you the news over the next month or so, I'm going to Italy. I'm going to Qatar. I'm going to find out the latest news for you guys. I'm not just going to sit there and have a sauce. You know, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find out things. You know what I mean? As I've always done. You know, last year I went to Turkey. Last year I've done things, you know, and find out about Kodioglu. Remember him? Of course. And yeah, so I'm gonna have a big summer this summer. And let's see what we do this summer. It is going to be very busy. Mark Jacobs was saying it yesterday that we're going to have a very, very busy summer. Of course, guys. Absolutely. Big up, my friend, Demaga. He don't even fit into the system. Ruben Amrams is a side eye if he keeps Bruno. One thing I would say, Show, I would take everything with a pinch of salt. What Ruben Amram says as opposed to what Ruben Amram is going to do, I think it's completely different. As I said at the beginning of the season, at the beginning of Ruben Amram's tenure, I said that Ruben Amram is a smiling assassin. Ruben Amorim's not going to go in the front of the media and say, I don't want Bruno. It's better if we sell him 100 million. Yeah, we'll take that. He's not going to do that. He's going to say, we rate him, we want him, we admire him, and stuff like that. Of course, there is the Portuguese thing. And we have to, we cannot ignore the elephant in the room. There is the Portuguese thing here, that Portuguese, like the Portuguese, they get on with each other. No surprise, is it? With Dalot, the same thing, never gets dropped, the same thing. So we need to move aside from this. We need to take personal emotions from this. And I hope that it has been taken away. I hope the personal emotions and affiliations have been taken away. And we need to look at what's best for the team going forward. Because at the moment, we cannot afford luxury players. And Bruno's a luxury player. Man United need to start with the foundations. Build a team. Effort, desire, will to win, strength. And then build from there. Then you can start adding the little bit of flair and silkiness. It's exactly what Alex Ferguson did. Exactly what he did. Having the likes of Paul McGrath and having the likes of, Brian Robson and Paul Ince and industrial players. Of course, Brian was a little bit more flary, but Man United had industrial players originally. And then they started to move into more flair. They started to get a little bit more, well, hey, you know what I mean? And Mark Hughes was like an industrial player, great player, but industrial, I would say. Mark, Bruno money will pay for Mbeumo and Gutierrez, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony South can pay for Edison, Cherky, and Ad Hoyland. Maybe even a right wing back, Mark. Who knows? We need one. Big up, Mark. Donovan, we sold arguably the best player ever, CR7. Exactly. Why are the fans hesitant to sell in Bruno? Had CR7 never went, we definitely would have more Premier League and Champions League. Absolutely, Donovan. Spot on. I would like to think where we would have been if we kept Cristiano Ronaldo all the way up until this present day. Imagine, I think we would have been far more successful. Under Alex Ferguson, we were still successful. We still got to the Champions League final, right? But imagine we had Ronaldo in that Champions League final against Barcelona, Man United would have won more Champions Leagues. I'm pretty certain about that. Man United would have won more Premier League titles. This is what I'm saying, In 1958, if the 58 Munich air disaster didn't happen, we would have had more Premier League titles, maybe more European Cups. Because at that time, I feel like we were the best team in the world. People ignore these things, don't they? Sell Bruno, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, plus Anthony, and sign Mbeumo, Gutierrez, plus Mastantuono, a midfielder and a goalkeeper. People are ignoring, though, the right wing-back position. We don't have a right wing-back unless we play Mantato. We can bring in Mantato or Camerson, maybe. Who knows? There we go. But big up, Newcomen. Hope you're doing well. Gordon, what's going on? Bruno is getting on and should consider a new project. Gordon, I agree with you there. Straight to the point. Absolutely, mate. Straight to the point. Simple as that. I agree with that wholeheartedly, my friend. Prefer Bruno to go to a team is more important than him. Time to rebuild and rise from the ashes, Lisa. And I agree with that. Big up. Ineos are under pressure. We'll spend 100 million. They will spend 200 million this summer. That's my prediction. I've said that from the beginning. With transfers out, transfers in, Man United will spend around 200 million. Not net, but Man United will spend about 200 million altogether. Oil Delhi, what's going on, my friend? Are we doing well? Good morning, Sal. Love as your podcast. As always, big up yourself. You're a blessed brother, man. So are you, bro. We need to be very clinical this time around about our club business this summer. Rebuild. Absolutely great comment, Oil Delhi. It is literally like a historical summer for us. It's literally like probably our most important summer in our history, in my opinion. I'm just going by that. Probably our most important summer in our history. I'm not exaggerating, guys. I think that. I really do. I think this is so important to where we go to our next few years. Ecuadorian, that's it. It's Estepio Guinan, absolutely. Ecuadorian, yep. I was talking about Richard Rios. I think Richard Rios is Colombian. 100% right back league and focus on. Yeah, we need one. Time to promote Mantato. Yeah, right wing back position. He can be Amran Quenda. Could be. I would like that to see what he can do. Well, not in the friendly squad this last two games. Surprising. What our position on Gutierrez? I see a lot of bogus information on Twitter. I just joined in on good day to you, Sal. Good day to you, my friend Sal. Good to see you, mate. The issue on Gutierrez is basically Gutierrez. It's Gutierrez's choice. This is why it's taking so long. Gutierrez is on holiday. And when he gets back from holiday, he's going to make his choice. Man United has spoken to Gutierrez. There has been a phone call between Ruben Amorim and Gutierrez. It's whether now it's down to Gutierrez what he wants to do. Man United are in a handicap position because of the Champions League. It is literally like certain that Gutierrez would have went to Man United. Probably would have signed by now if we qualified for the Champions League. You know what I mean? But Tottenham decided otherwise. So Tottenham wanted to go to the Champions League to make up the numbers, basically. You know, at least Man United will give a good account. Unlike Newcastle getting knocked out in the first round. Do you know what I mean? As well. But you know what I would say is that don't be surprised if Man United sign Gutierrez, but don't be surprised if Man United don't sign Gutierrez. It's all down to him. It's his decision to make. If I was a betting man, I would say 40%, 35, 40% he's going to Man United. 60, 65% he's going to Arsenal. Shit, you know, that's what I would say. But let's wait and see. Lots to come. I'll be bringing you, of course. Kamasan is shot for wing back. He done all right, didn't he, my friend? He done all right. He done all right in the front. I think he done good. One of our shining players, definitely. Almost all the Liverpool players are captains of their own country. Salah, Van Dijk, Szoboszlai, Robertson, Endo, Gallagher, and Alisson, Konate, Diaz, and captain their side. Yeah, good point, Mark. And that is, you know what? One thing that they probably looked at Man United from the old days. You know, they probably looked at Man United from back in the day and looked at Man United and looked at the captains. But what brings captains, guys? What breeds captains? What makes a captain? Let me tell you what makes a captain. Success makes captains. Champions League success. League success. Even if you win the league one time, even if you win the Champions League one time, those players have it in there that they've done it before. Our players have it in there, we've never done it. You know? And that is the worst thing, to get over that barrier. Man United took 26 years in 1992-93 to get over that barrier. You know? To get over that barrier. Absolutely. Shalom. Oh, yes, Sal. Positive news. Comment, discuss. Contact Jones Santos. It means they'll. Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. Big news for Mania. That'd be brilliant for Man United. Marcus Thuram would not be as bad a striker for us. He's all right. Not prolific, though. Smash the likes. That's all right. Thank you so much, Shalom. Big up yourself. Big up. Revat saying Rasmus looks short of what happened. Looks promising, but the year before, now he looks to trap bag of cement. And I can't buy it. He's not working hard enough, mate. Not practicing on his technique. What Man United players used to do. Tommy Conway could be the next good backup striker. Big up, Daddy Bear. That's the first name I've heard. So, is it true? No, Turkey has agreed to Man City. He's looking likely to go to Man City. Yeah, he's a Manouche and him are friends apparently. Portuguese Mafia take over Man United. Big up, Max. There you go. Rasmus lacks a mentor in the attack. He needs help to develop. Leeson. He's 23. Leeson. I'm not gonna say anything, but he's 23. He's got to do better, mate. He's got to be better. 23 years old. You should be at the top of your level. You shouldn't be relying on anyone else. Look at Chido yesterday. One touch, one goal. Boom, goal. No messing about. And he's 17. You know, the Portuguese always loves the Portuguese. Jose Mourinho got plenty of players from Portugal. Yeah, Carvalho, Ferreira, Deco. When he came in, Thiago. Yeah, absolutely. They love themselves. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, but yeah, they do. We never have a goal scorer since Ronaldo. I agree. Apart from Rooney. Some non-credible news are saying that Cherki is credible, so nothing going on at the moment. But don't be surprised if he goes to Man City. Man City are looking at Cherki strongly. This summer we'll decide if we'll go for 2 or 3 years. Yeah, it'd be less than that, mate. If we get the signings, if we didn't sell Ronaldo, definitely won't at least more Champions Leagues and more Premier Leagues. But we still won 2 Premier Leagues without him. To be honest, that was because of Alex Ferguson, though, wasn't it? Kirk, good morning. There's no way this club can do more than 4 transfers this winter. It depends who they sell, Kirk. Depends who they sell and for how much. Pong would have been a perfect signing for Man United. Yeah, a wing back. Maybe just rely on Kamason and Montato. They're the future. Let's do it. Big up, Neil Gunner. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're good. Good to see you. Of course. Man United should sell Bruno and reinvest in blessings in disguise. I agree, Kuni. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. I agree with that. Big Sharp. But I don't get why some fans are quite loyal or sentimental. I mean, we got a little bit soft over the years, in my opinion. Absolutely. We got a little bit softer, in my opinion. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Absolute legends. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I will be doing a watch-along later on today, guys, between Inter Milan and PSG. So don't forget to join me for that, please. Keep your notifications on in case I go live later for Chatterbox. But, guys, thank you for your support. You guys are the best. And, guys, I'll see you a bit later. Don't forget to smash a like on the way out. And please don't forget to subscribe if you're new, guys. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy it. You know what I mean? Relax. We're not playing football. See you later, guys. Take it easy. Peace.
Bluesky.